Because is that when we read the Seder on Shabbos, the Shabbos consists of the fabric of the Seder. The Shabbos is woven with the threads of the Seder. There is no such thing as a Shabbos repeating itself. So Bani Shverim gave us 600,000 Shabbos, because the Yemei Oyman is 6,000 years, and in 6,000 years there's something like 300,000 Shabbos, and then when the Elef Ashli'i will come, the entire Elef will be Yom Kippur Shabbos. So it's another 300,000 Shabbos. Together it's 600,000. Every Eid has its specific Shabbos. Every generation has its specific Shabbos. Every week has its specific Shabbos. Every Eid is an Eid in the Sefer Torah. There are 600,000 Eidiyos in the Sefer Torah. Yisrael is Rosh Hashanah. Yesh Shishim Ribay Eidiyos LaTorah. Yeshurun is Yesh Shishim Ribay Nefashos. There are so many Nefashos as there are Eidiyos in the Torah. If you're going to ask, but there are several, there are something like way over 10 million Yidden today. I don't know the exact statistics, something like 15 million or something like that. Way over. So what do you say? There's only 600,000. True. There's 600,000 Nishanas, and then these have divisions and subdivisions, but all are connected to one ice in the Sefer Torah. Just like we have the Kabbalah Sinai, that there are 600,000 ices. If you would count the ices, you wouldn't even find half of that. But we know that there are 600,000 ices because each ice consists of a number of ices. Like, for instance, a mem. I'll pick those that have the Shem of I. A mem. A mem is a chaf, and next to it is a vav, right? So it's two ices. Chaf vav. The gematria of the Shem of I. A lamed is a chaf, and the Sefer Torah is a round chaf, and then a vav at the left side. Again, chaf vav. A aleph is a vav in the middle, a yud on top, a yud on the bottom. Together it's chaf vav, right? So al-kais yayin malay, if it's malay, it's keverkat Hashem. You have the same avaya there. So maybe if you want, you can get yourself a chair. So every Eid has its Shabbos. Every generation has its set of Shabbosim, and every Shabbos consists of what the Seder is about. And the Irish, like the Moshe says, Yishamru b'nai Yisrael for Shabbos, Beini b'nai Yisrael, Ois hi li'aylam. Every Shabbos is an ice. It's an ice in the Sefer Torah. Just like every neshama is an ice in the Sefer Torah. So there was never a duplication of the Shabbos in the world. Every Shabbos has its specific purpose, and it has its specific vayeira, and you accomplish in every Shabbos what you never accomplished in the previous Shabbos, or what you can't accomplish in the future Shabbos. Every Shabbos is a very, very special Shabbos that won't repeat itself, and never was. That's like a silence of what the Shabbos is. Unfortunately, most people don't make good use of the Shabbos. Shabbos is supposed to be a day of Avodas Hashem, of Tzedekah and Rabbeinu Shalom, of Torah and Tefillah, and Einig with the Rabbeinu Shalom. The Einig Shabbos, many people think that the mitzvah is to enjoy yourself on Shabbos. It's true. There's a mitzvah of Einig Shabbos, but that joy should be with the Rabbeinu Shalom. The Einig should be to the Shabbos. The Shlomo says, "V'karas ala Shabbos Einig." Make the Shabbos should have an Einig. The Shabbos should enjoy the way you cover your Shabbos, the way you keep your Shabbos. So when we read about a certain Indian, that thing in the Ruchni's sense repeats itself again. Like for instance, this week we read about the Mila that Avraham Avinu was visited by the Rabbeinu Shalom, the Shlishi Lemila. So, and it repeats itself again. The Rabbeinu Shalom comes to us on Shabbos to visit us. Rashi says, vayeira Hashem, the Rabbeinu Shalom appeared to Avraham Avinu. Rashi says, to be mavaka chayla. This Shabbos, the Rabbeinu Shalom repeats that. He comes to be mavaka chayla. And we're pretty sick. We are very sick. Our generation is very, very sick. There are so many maladies, so many sicknesses in this generation of ours. There's so much Hashem Yishmereinu, intermarriage. There's the new inventions that come up every day that are certain devices to pull us away from the Rabbeinu Shalom, the internet and those new cell phones. And I am Ish Tziburi. I am a person that people come and tell me, I have a shul in Borough Park, and people come and tell me, and they ask ISIS, and they tell me their troubles. We have no idea what's going on. How many homes become chaviv because of this internet? How many children slip and go off the derech hayadas altogether? Things that we never had before. Yetzacharos that we never had before. And the reason is because as the tzaddikim already in the previous generation already told us, Chaim always talked about this, that we already have reached a certain period in history which is called Ikvus of the Mashiach. The end of we spoke about it last year. The Eikev of Mashiach, the last generation, or the last generation, the period of which ushers us into the Yemais Mashiach. And the Satan doesn't like it, because when Mashiach will come, the Satan will be removed from the picture. And there'll be no more Satan. So he's trying with all his kindness to put off and delay the Biyat HaMashiach. So he devises so many Yetzaharas. And so we're a very sick generation. This week, the Rabbeinu Shalom comes to be Mavaka Chayla. And the Inyanim which are in the parasha is a Bika Chayla. Every chaylik in the parasha, if we'll be mizbaining, if we'll delve into the deepness of that parasha, we're going to see that Rabbeinu Shalom is giving us chizuk in these inyanim of the parasha. There are quite a number of inyanim in this parasha, but the time doesn't allow to go through the entire parasha. So I suppose that you're going to agree with me that the point of the parasha, the pinnacle of the parasha, is the parasha of the Aqida. So we were last year I spoke with you about the Aqida already. I want to look at the Aqida now from a different vantage point. The parasha is the ruach hachayim of the week. So Deacon said you should live with the parasha. There was a mindset that about over 100 years ago by the Belzer Rebbe, Yeshua Belzer, was the great grandfather of today's Belzer Rebbe, that some people came to him. They were people who had their panas and lumber. They rented a part of the woods from the paritz, from the Lord, and they cut off the wood, and they usually tied the beams together, and it went down the river. It floated down the river hundreds of miles until it came to the mills. And they had a contract with the mills, how many pieces of lumber the mills would get from them. And that's how they made fun of them. And that was a good fun of them. So we came to the Belzer Rebbe. It was listen time. And that's the time when all the snow starts melting, and the snow starts coming off from the mountains in the form of brooks and rivers, and then the rivers overflow, and they put those logs in the river, and the logs drift down, and they have somebody, they make it like, they tie them together, and they have people taking care that to steer them in the right direction. They shouldn't get stuck. And that's the way of the transportation of the logs to the lumber mills. So they came to complain. It's already it's spring, and it's cold, and the river is frozen over, and they can't deliver the logs. And there's a certain time in the contract is specified that if the logs don't reach the mills, the company won't buy the logs from them, and they're in trouble. They're going to lose all their fortune. So the Belzer Rebbe asked them, "There's a cheder in your town, right?" Yeah. What are the children learning in the cheder? So they said right now they're learning Pashas Miketz. You know, there's machlekes among the Gedolei Yisrael if you should learn the Seder of the week with the children, or you should go straight. I think in our yeshiva they go straight. Yeah, they're both all right. Anyway, the Belzer Rebbe held that you should learn the Parsha of the week. So he said, of course it's cold, because the children are learning Pashas Miketz. And Miketz is a winter Seder. Miketz usually comes out Chanukah time in December. So that's why the winter, the river is frozen over. If you'd read this, if you teach the kids the Seder of the week, on this Seder of Pashas Tzav or Shmini, of course, then so those people went right back, and they had the Melamed starting teaching them the Vayikra Seder, the Seder of the week, and heat wave came, and the ice melted, and the alarms came in time. The Seder conducts the affairs of the week, being that this week we learn the vayeira. It's Rosh Hashanah. The Kriya of Rosh Hashanah is in this week's Seder. The first day Rosh Hashanah we read Hashem Pakat Estela Kasha Ama. You have it in this week's Advent. The second day, Rosh Hashanah, we read the Aqida on Rosh Hashanah. We have it in this week's Advent. In other words, this Shabbos has 2 days of Rosh Hashanah in it, which means that this Shabbos has the Indian of Rosh Hashanah. It's a miniature Rosh Hashanah. If somebody feels that his last Rosh Hashanah, he tried to do tshuva and he would try to be misnaiga like he should be on Rosh Hashanah, but if he feels that there's something lacking, he could be mashlim in this Shabbos. The kriya of Rosh Hashanah gives the Shabbos a pchina of Rosh Hashanah. The Rosh Hashanah comes and revisits us again. This Shabbos, we're a zeicha to shofar. The shofar of Rosh Hashanah. How are we a zeicha to the shofar? Because of the Avraham Avinu, when the Bnei Yisrael told him, Atishrach Yadcha Lana, so Vayis Avraham Avinu, V'yavina Ayel Lacha Nachas B'Svat B'Karnav, and he was makshir the Ayel Tachas B'nai, and from there we have the Shofar Shel Ayel. That's where Yidden was zeicha to the Shofar through the Aqida. So we have Rosh Hashanah, the Kriya of Rosh Hashanah. We have the Shofar of Rosh Hashanah. It's Rosh Hashanah. And you dip your challah in honey. But that's not the mending. Don't do that. But in the Ruchniyizdeke way, in the Ruchniyizdeke sense, this Shabbos is dipped in honey. It's Rosh Hashanah. Avraham Avinu, whenever we mispalel to the Rabban Yisrael, we always come with a big taina, Avraham Avinu, and the Aqida. The climax of the tefillah of Rosh Hashanah is Shchaya B'Ras Avraham V'Aqeidas Yitzchak, and you have that in this week's Advent. The B'Ras Avraham Avinu, the Shlishi Lemila, Rabban Yisrael came for him, and the Aqeidas Yitzchak we have. So every time it's the Aqeidah, and then every morning we line the Aqeidah in middle and davening before Kabbalah to be vayeira the schus of the Aqeidah, and then we say Rabban Yisrael and Moshe Avraham Avinu Chachmav. We go with the schus of the Kabbalah. Avraham Avinu was ready to be makshir the son, and Yitzchak was ready to be nikra, which and we see many big Sachen in the Aqeidah. What's so special about the Aqeidah? Avraham Avinu was ready to be makshir of his son. All right, but that's not so very, very special. You find the Goyim also did such things. In fact, in Dvarim, the Rabban Yisrael is going to caution Yidden not to be nimshach to the Avodah Zarah, and it tells them, look what they do. Kigam is b'neim as b'neisayim yizbachu b'eish le'ilehayim. The Goyim burned their children as a carbon to God. So what's so special about Avraham Avinu that he was ready to shech Yitzchak? What's so special about that? What is it different? Now, of course, in Pashtus, it is different because the psukim make it clear that it was with a big simcha that Avraham Avinu went to the Aqeidah. True. Goyim on my nefesh himself. It's true that the history of nations is replete with instances where soldiers were mighty nefesh for their king and for their country. America, the revolution, who are ma'isa nefesh. It's people are ma'isa nefesh for a cause. That's a plan. But do they go with simcha? But these Arabs, very, very often, Baruch Hashem, Chazi Hashem, they're generally intercepted. They're caught before they commit suicide. They commit suicide with their bombs. They're nervous, and very often they give up and they turn themselves in, and even when they do make suicide bombing, it's testified that you were able to see that the nervous and the jittery and the Avraham Avinu went to simcha for the Akedah. Usually when somebody is nervous, he doesn't walk so fast. So the Medrash makes it clear that Avraham Avinu knew about the Akedah. Yitzchak didn't. Vayeira shnayim yachdav. They both walked together on the same pace. Avraham Avinu walked the same pace as Yitzchak. He wasn't nervous. He didn't walk in a slow pace. Then Yitzchak asks Avraham, so Avraham Avinu tells him, you are the Sali Yaila. Asali Yaila b'ni. So the Torah repeats again, Vayechu Shnayim Yardav. Now I would think that Yitzchak became jittery. No, Yitzchak is on with Simcha to the Akedah. At the third time Yardav, you have when they went home from the Akedah. It says, Avraham Avinu returned to Beersheba, to Yishmael, and to Shnei Niyarav. Vayechu Yardav al Beersheba, and Yardav they went to Beersheba. In other words, after such an assign of the Akedah, so Avraham Avinu felt Yardav like Yishmael, like the other, like his Shnei Niyarav. Yardav. Nothing happened. He didn't feel, I accomplished something. But 16 it was. I was ready to be a wife, and that was my only child. Yardav went together. He didn't consider that he did something which is special. Yardav. Al-Kopanim, let's understand. Today, Baruch Hashem, Chazdi Hashem, the way the Rabban Yisrael is being mindful Yid, will contrast Iraq with Eretz Yisrael. In Iraq, almost every day, there are tens of people that get killed through these suicide bombers. The Yishmaelim are ma'isa nefesh themselves to be killed in order to kill. And Baruch Hashem in Eretz Yisrael, months can go by and nothing bad Baruch Hashem happens. Here and there something happens, but they would be considered, comparing them to Iraq, as very isolated cases. Not because the Arabs are not looking for trouble. There's about 40, on the average, there's about 40 attempts of suicide bombing every week. And the Rabban Yisrael helps. We catch them in time. They're intercepted. We see a minor ticket Kata Shmaya here. And the Americans, they don't intercept them. The Americans are those who are Americans, are strong Americans. It's a superpower. No, they don't have that Atzlach. They don't have that Kata Shmaya. They don't intercept them. They fall like the flies. But let's understand. The Yishmaelim are being ma'isa nefesh. They're being ma'isa nefesh themselves. So we come, Pashas Vayeira, and we tried ourselves that Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak were being Ma'aser Nefesh for the Rebbeinu Shalom. What's the prize? The Yishmaelim are doing that. But before we come to this, let's understand the chiluk between the Yishmaelim and the Yidden. Both have the mitzvah of Mila. The mitzvah of Mila was given to the children of Hagar, and the Arabs today are being mala themselves when they're 30 years, because Yishmael was mala himself when he was 30 years old. So, Vayi Achat Varma Eila. It was Achat Varma Eila. After which Dvarim? Kimnisas Avraham. There was a vikuach between Avraham Avinu and Yishmael. Yitzchak and Yishmael. They were debating. They were arguing. What happened? Yishmael told Yitzchak, "How do you compare yourself to me? I consented to be Nimael when I was 13 years old. I was already able-bodied. I could have protested, and I could have said no. I will not allow myself to be Nimael, and I allowed myself to be Nimael and suffer the pain of Mila. You, in turn, you were 8 days old when you were Nimael. Your Mila isn't good. Your Mila doesn't show any special devotion to the Rebbeinu Shalom." So Yitzchak answered, "You were Mikabel Yisurim in one Eivel for the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm ready to give away all my Ramach Eiverim to the Rebbeinu Shalom." So Rashi says, after this conversation between Yitzchak and Yishmael, the Rebbe proved that Yitzchak will give away all his Ramach Eiverim and will let himself be killed for the Rebbeinu Shalom. Eigentlich, why is it that Yitzchak should be Nimael when he's 8 days old, and Yishmael when he's 30 years old? And then we have a kasha which we would want the Rebbeinu Shalom to answer us. The mitzvah of Mila is the biggest mitzvah there is. The Shechner says so. In the Yeridayah, Siman Reish Samach, when the Hilchos Mila begins, the Shechner says that this mitzvah is the greatest mitzvah in the Torah. And it's like Shabbos and it's like Yom Kippur. It's the greatest, and besides other things, it's the greatest mitzvah in the Torah. It's a Chisas Bris with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Bris Shel Avraham Avinu. Why does the Rebbeinu Shalom deprive a Jewish boy from being Mikayim this mitzvah when he's about das and he's 13 years old? Such a big mitzvah. Why do you grab away the mitzvah from him and you do it when he's 8 days old? And you don't even give him... And why Yishmael had the chance to show his devotion to the Rebbeinu Shalom, 13 years old? Well, the answer is self-evident. In the Rachman that we say by the Bris Mila, we say, Umibeten l'shimcha heima nimayim. There's a big chilek between Yishmael's Mila and a Yid Mila. A Yid Mila, Yitzchak's Mila, shows what Yitzchak is. A Yid is born a Yid. A Yid is a Yid because he has the Yiddish neshama. The Rambam says that what happens if somebody doesn't want to, if somebody is chai the carbon and doesn't want to bring the carbon, so we can't force him because it says without Sinai. He has to bring it with his own das. And he has to say, right, son, I want. So what happens if he doesn't want to bring the carbon? So the Gemara says, and the Rambam passes that way, you flog him, you spank him with a whip until he'll say, okay, I'll bring a carbon. So the Rambam asks, but it's got to be a little sign like you got to say Reitzani. And if you spank him, and if until he says Reitzani, that's under duress. He's being compelled. That's not a little sign. That's not a little sign. So the Rambam answers a very basic yesod in the movement. The Rambam answers, every Yid wants to do the lesson of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Every Yid wants to do the lesson of the Rabbeinu Shalom. But the Yetzirah gets the best of him. But his neshama, his inside, wants to do the lesson of the Rabbeinu Shalom. A Yid is a Yid. We're children of Avraham Avinu. We have an inborn emunah. I spoke about this last year. Our emunah is part of us. We have it b'Yerusha. It isn't anything which is attained. So therefore, what is it in this Yid that it doesn't want to bring the carbon? There's the Yetzirah. The Yetzirah comes from the guf. So we flog the guf until the guf subdues himself. And when the Reitza Ani comes out, that's the neshama. That's his real Ratzon. The real Ratzon of the Yid that Rambam is Megala to us is to do the Ratzon of the Rabbeinu Shalom. We have two mitzvahs that shows our kasher with the Rabbeinu Shalom. Both are called a ois, a simon on what a Yid is. One is Mila, and the other one is Tefillin. And it says in the Megillah, and the Gemara dashes, Vayudim vayeira v'simcha v'sasan v'yikar. V'sasan zu Mila, v'yikar zu Tefillin. What's the difference between Mila and Tefillin? Mila is done to the child when he's not about that. Tefillin is dafka with da'as. And therefore, even though we're mechanech children to do all the mitzvahs, even when they're young, but tefillin, we don't allow them to be mekayim until they approach mamish their bar mitzvah, either maybe a month before the bar mitzvah, and some only on the bar mitzvah day. That's when you start wearing tefillin. Why is Mila when he's 8 days old and tefillin when he's 6? We are emphasizing the Indian that a Yid is born a Yid. And without the das, he's a Yid. He's a Yid all the way through. He's born a Yid. So that's why it's right when he's born. Tefillin is dafka with das. You're not allowed to be Masir das from Tefillin. Tefillin is doing mitzvahs by his own choice because of his bechira. Meal is without bechira. A Yid is a Yid without bechira. He can't choose, I don't want to be a Yid. Once a Yid, always a Yid. If a Yid is like a shmat, he's still a Yid. He still is going to get Gehenna for not keeping Negel stuff. Even after he has that holy water sprinkled on him. He's still a Yid. And Tefillin, that's what Mila brings out. Tefillin is something that's totally in his mind and his vayeira, in his das. Yishmael is not a yid, the pnimiyas. He can only do mindsim of mitzvahs. So he wasn't allowed to be mal himself until he's 30 years old. A mindsim of a mitzvah. Like tefillin. But a yid is mibeten l'shimchaim and imayim. He's a yid mibeten. From the very birth he's a yid. And that's brought out with the milah. So the Sedra this week starts with milah. Mimaylu itay vayeira olav Hashem. Vayeira finishes the Mayalu itay that Avram Avinu was mala himself. Vayeira olav Hashem, and he visited him in the third day of the milah, the shlish of the milah. And the Sedra ends with the Akeda. Now, we find all throughout history that people are ma'isa nefesh for their king, for their nation, for their culture, for their ideals. Now, when a person has a certain ahava, the ahava can be sichliyazdika ahava, an ahava which is built on seichel. You could understand it. Somebody has a certain fondness to another person. Why is he fond of that person? Because that person does him good things, or that person is intelligent and he's fond of his intelligence, or that person is beautiful. But there are many reasons why a person can be fond of another person. There's a reason to it. That's called the ahava sichliyus. It's a seichel dika ahava, based on something. In other words, ahava tluya b'davar. It's based on something, this ahava. There are certain qualities in the receiver of his ahava, that these qualities stir up an ahava to him. That's called the ahava sichliyus. The sichliyus dika ahava makes sense. And then there's another kind of ahava. That ahava is a natural ahava. Ahava atzmiyus. Intrinsic ahava, not based on anything. Why does a mother love its child? And the mother is even ma'isa nefesh for its child. You find that in the entire animal kingdom. The mothers are ma'isa nefesh for their offspring. If an enemy comes, let's say an animal comes and wants to eat their child, the mother will be ma'isa nefesh. In fact, even though the mother, sometimes the mother will flee, and sometimes mamish ma'isa nefesh. But in effect, why does the mother love the child? The text says, because the child, you can't give any intellectual reason for this love, for this devotion. The text says, because it's atzmiyus. But what kind of the other one? A son is an extension of his parents. So, just like a person loves himself, and he doesn't have to explain why he loves himself, no person will say, I want to eat, because I want to satisfy my gifts. Because I am intelligent, I am beautiful, I am strong, and I deserve to have this food. No. A person eats because he eats. It's himself. Self-love isn't based on any reason that you have to explain, because it's atzmiyus. A person naturally loves himself. Therefore, a parent loves his child, because the child is part of himself. The child is an extension of the parent. So that's called Ava Atzmiyus, intrinsic love, not any love which is based on intellectual reasoning and on svaras. You don't need no svaras. No svaras. The professor of astronomical physics at Harvard University, she is a mother of a child, and she'll take care of a child and feed her child and nurse a child in the same way that the black woman in Africa, in the African jungle, who nurse and feed and care for a child. You don't have to be intellectual and give reasons for caring for your child. It's Atzmiyus. The child is a part of us. Chavivim Yisrael Shenikraim Banim Lamakim. We are Banim Lamakim. We love the Rabbeinu Shalom because of an Atzmiyus reason, not because the Rabbeinu Shalom deserves that we should love him. We're Banim Lamakim. Every Yiddish neshama, like Isaiah says, is a chelik alakah mima'al. We are an extension kaviyachal of Elokus. We are Banim Lamakim. Banim matam l'Hashem Elokeichem, the Rabbeinu Shalom says. So we love the Rabbeinu Shalom naturally. A person can deaden this love by doing vayeira, but in the pnimius, that love is there even by the biggest Russian. So therefore we find a very interesting thing in history. Eden had certain periods when they were able to manifest their Ava to the Rabbeinu Shalom. In the Shas Ashmat, like in the Crusades or other such inyanim, in the Gezeiras that were in Europe in the medieval times, whole communities of tens of thousands of Yidden, without exception, gave away their lives when the Goyim forced them to shmad themselves. You had it in the times of the Crusades, you had it in times in France and in Germany and in England. Whole communities, without an exception. Now, the Arabs, they have training camps where they're trained to become terrorists. And they get lessons in terrorism. And they're taught how to terrorize, and they're being they become they teach them, and they go through drills, and they swear to their God, and they accept the God, and they become inculcated with all these ideals that they have. They're being trained and indoctrinated to fight against the Yidden and to hate the Yidden and to be moshe nefesh, to enjoy being killed and being rewarded by killing a Yid. They're being taught this. They're being indoctrinated. It becomes part of them. Just like in every army, they go through drills and speeches and lectures and seminars with the soldiers to explain them that they should be moshe nefesh for the cause for which they're going to war.
For a shir on the topic of Ishmael's occupation of Eretz Yisrael in our times, given Tafshin Samach Beis, press 1. For a shir on the topic of the Nisayon of the Aqida and inspiration for our generation, given Tafshin Samach Daled, press 2. For a shir on the topic of a parish of Kiddus HaKaras, the Messias Nefesh of Avraham Avinu for the mitzvah of Achas Archa and his reward, given Tafshin Samach Vav, press 3. For a shir on the topic of the difference between the Messias Nefesh of Avraham Avinu by the Aqida and Lahavdil today's suicide bombers, given Tafshin Samach Hey, press 4.